So I'm sitting here with Marybeth Hill from the NPRA and a lot of things. You're sort of like the center of a spider web way in
Yeah,
recovery goes, and especially peer recovery. And so, hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good, good. So I'm excited to hear about. I guess first of all, what is your role in the NPRA, and what is the NPRA?
Yeah. So actually, I actually work for the Archway Institute. We are a 501(c) nonprofit that works on national level recovery efforts. So far, we mainly operate out of Florida, Ohio, Kentucky, Virginia, and now we're coming to Arkansas. I also work with the Archway Institute. Also has a thing called the Division of Archway Institute, which is the National Peer Recovery Alliance. Which basically what we do is unify the peer workforce. If you think about what a doctor does, across the states, right? Like a doctor's description is a doctor no matter which state he goes to. So we work very diligently trying to make sure that the role of a peer is the same across the United States.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
a big job.
yeah,
So all like
we're trying.
all 50 states.
Well, that's our goal. The long game, we're looking to be in every single state.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I guess how many of these organizations or peer recovery specialists are you overseeing now?
So right now we have our network is about 14,000, peers across the United States who follow MPRA, who are associated with MPRA, and we have affiliate directors currently in 6 states.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's a huge job.
big.
Yes. Now you yourself, are you a peer recovery specialist yourself?
So I was very fortunate. When the peer movement moved to the state of Arkansas in 2018, I was in the first round of people who became peer recovery specialists in the state of Arkansas.
Wow,
Yeah,
okay. So one of the first,
one of the first.
one of the founding
There you go.
peer recovery specialists.
Yeah, before we even really knew what peer recovery was or
Yeah.
what our job was or who we were, I was in the first round.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I know that you guys have events that you've you're the brainchild of,
Yeah,
and so you're bringing this to Arkansas,
we are.
which we know that there are plenty of resources that are needed
Yeah.
for Arkansas, especially when it comes to recovery. So yeah, I'd love to hear about your event.
So as an organization, we try to keep it fun and interesting. And what can we do to better educate people who are in the peer workforce, but not just in the peer workforce? So I don't know if you've ever heard this, the saying like the recovery ecosystem,
Mm.
right? So like that's everybody that encompasses the actual work that's getting done in the state of Arkansas. And we've been thinking, like, what is the event that we want to do in Arkansas? Like, what do we want to do to bring and introduce the Archway Institute to Arkansas? We've been brainstorming. And I woke up one morning, it was like a Saturday morning, and I called Jimmy and I was like, hey, I have this idea. And, we started talking about it. We think about conferences, right, in the state of Arkansas. If you are in the recovery profession or mental health profession, what do conferences look like in Arkansas? They look like a snooze fest. Let's keep it real. I mean, like you're going in there and you're learning about boundaries and ethics and like all of these things that are pertinent to the job, right? Like you need to know about all these things, but why are we not learning about all the different pieces inside this ecosystem that keep it running,
Yeah.
and not just state ran facilities or state ran organizations, but the faith-based organizations, who's really heading, the reentry initiatives in our state. So we're bringing every little piece of the puzzle together in one house for one big event.
Wow. So does this include nonprofit organizations, of course, and there are some that are for profit that still help
Yes.
in recovery. And then there are organizations like NPRA and those types of organizations as well. But also, are you bringing in lawmakers or law enforcement?
Yeah, we're working on that too. So hopefully the Attorney General's office is going to be there.
Right.
That's the thing that these components are all key, in making sure that we're sustainable as a state in recovery, right? Like you need all these places. We need those for profits. We need those treatment centers. We need the faith-based reentry. We need RCOs. We need all of these different pieces to make sure that if you're in recovery in Arkansas, that you have the access to the resources that are provided. Because let's keep it real, not everybody has insurance. Not everybody can afford to go to a for-profit facility, right? And not everybody has the same religious beliefs. Some people want to seek faith-based, some want to seek holistic, some people want to see best practice. So why not have every resource that we can have imaginable in one house together? Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
The way I understand it is because I've never been like I said, this podcast is sort of taken from the stance of somebody who's never had to go through recovery
Yeah.
because I've never had the substance abuse issues or anything like that. Thank God could have happened.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I definitely see the benefits whenever other people who have been through substance abuse go through recovery
Right.
and how we all just sort of benefit off of, we reap the benefits off when somebody goes through recovery and they're successful through it, as opposed to
Right.
we notice the headlines and the news articles that come out every time somebody doesn't do that. And then they end up getting into some sort of crime
Right.
or something happens. Right. And so, um, yeah, but you mentioned RCOs. What does that stand for?
Recovery community organizations.
How does that differ from any other kind of organization out there that is for recovery?
So, a traditional RCO is led by people who are in recovery. And basically, what that looks like is it is a hub of all encompassing recovery resources, right? From peer support to meeting places, to outreach, advocacy. It's like a central location where you can find all those pieces right there for free.
Like,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
it is.
And from it's another reason why I bring up the standpoint of like coming at it from somebody that's never been through recovery is I'm constantly learning from professionals like yourself in the field that you're working in, right? So you got the lived experience, but you also know what it's like to live on the other side and to successfully come out of that.
Yeah.
What are some ways that I guess because this event that you've got coming up, it has me thinking about it, but like obviously people that would be interested in going this might be people who are interested in becoming peer recovery specialists or people that might want to get involved in some way or form or another. What about for the people who have never had the issues, of substance abuse in the past?
Yeah.
Maybe by some magical happenstance, they've never had a family member or a husband or a wife or parents or children that have had any kind of substance abuse. And so they don't think that this affects them at all.
Oh,
But
it does. It
I
does.
would love to hear how.
It does. Something that's so unique and different about this conference is that, I have been reaching out to a lot of second chance employers, right? And so, like a lot of separate chance employers, a lot of different corporations that are in our community, really trying to bring them on board because have you ever heard the saying, like, it takes a village to raise a child?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But let's keep it real. Like that saying applies to addicts in recovery. We need everybody in the community to work together. And I know people are like, why should I help them? Why should I make a difference? But I didn't commit those crimes. Why should I be willing to do something to help these people? Because these people re-enter back into our communities, right? These people, I'm that person. You know what I mean? Like I am one of those people who came from a 17-year drug addiction, who had to re-enter back into society and learn how to live properly. And truly, if it wasn't for those second chance employers, right, who gave me an opportunity to go and to work and to prove myself that, hey, I am worthy of being here. Because let's keep it real, Ty, the disease of addiction, either if it doesn't directly affect you, it impacts you in some way, shape, or form. And so that's the big thing about this conference is that we have literally brought in donors and sponsors, not just from the recovery community, but people in our community in general who genuinely believe in the power of recovery and thinking that, that we need to make a difference. Um, it's so pertinent, right? Like this conference is not just for the recovering addict, right? Like if you are a caregiver, a clinician, because let's keep it real, a lot of clinicians are not recovering addicts. Now, you do have some that are and some that aren't. But we are opening up this conference to everybody, to the public, whether you're in recovery, whether you're not, if you're running a ministry at a church, it does not matter because we have all this resource in one house, right? Like one resource in one house where you can come and learn like how you can make a difference, right? Like how as a community can we make an impact to make sure that our economy and our recovery community and our community in general keeps thriving.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's encouraging to hear that more people are signing up
Yeah.
they don't necessarily have an in on the recovery, but they believe in it.
Right.
Obviously, so some of the work that you put forward is sort of it speaks for itself. Then,
Yeah.
if people are believing in substance or not substance abuse, but like the peer recovery
That's right.
portion of that, and,
Yeah.
and saying that people who have been through this experience are the ones that are qualified to help other people also come out of the muck
Yeah.
and raise themselves up from the ground. It's
For sure.
encouraging to hear.
A couple of the sponsors that I've reached out to who are on board, and we haven't announced it yet, but I'll wait to do that. But I was talking to the guy who was in charge of like their nonprofit donations, and he was like, a lot of my guys in the shop, they're felons, and it's crazy how when you just start talking to people, you start realizing, and I was like, what made you give them a chance? And he was like, literally, they are the hardest working individuals I've ever hired before.
Yeah.
The most loyal individuals I've ever hired before. And it did something inside of me, to understand that, like, compassion is key. Like, I understand, like, people don't want to be compassionate about a bunch of criminals who've made a bunch of mistakes. I get that. But whenever you can find those select few people who understand, like, they can change, and that's how we start making a difference. That's how we as a whole, as a community, can start saying, like, if I can give you grace for these things, and I can show a little grace here.
Right.
And it just starts with those one people, one person. It's crazy. I went to go buy a car at Kia, and shout out to Kia. I went to go buy a car there, and that was another one who was like, we are second chance employers. And it's crazy how whenever you recover out loud, it gives you this sense of, like, not being ashamed of who I am. Because I actually had a recovery shirt on, and he was like, what is that? And I was like, you want the long version, the short version? He's like, well, they're detailing your car. And I just told him about myself, and he was like, I have successfully re-entered society after incarceration too.
Awesome.
And I was like, man, kudos to you. And so it's just being able to be that voice in that community to show that, like, we can change as individuals, like, we don't have to live in that stigma anymore that once you're a criminal, you're always a criminal, because that's not the case.
I think that in itself sort of fights against that
Yeah.
a common thought that people have of well, if you've been to prison, you're always going to go back, and where our recidivism rate shows in Arkansas especially, but like and if you think that this doesn't affect you, it's somehow like you just
Exactly.
they give you a great example. They're the people that are selling you your car. Not only that, but I mean, like, of course, there's everything from the higher echelons of Hollywood. Robert Downey Jr. is, of course, a
For sure.
testimony for that, and as people in politics, all the way down to people that work at the gas station, right? And so you're going to encounter them at some point in the day, and you do benefit, so one way or another, off of somebody else's recovery.
For sure.
So there are these other people that don't have like the experience, but they are sponsoring your event. Like, what do they stand to get out of your events?
Community fellowship, literally there's, we tell them, in that part of the sponsorship package, it's like, hey, we will promote you. We will give you some, web space, and we'll put you on all our social media. And one of the best responses I got from that, he was like, we don't want anything from you, but for you to keep doing what you're doing, and that touched me, right? Because that's what this is about. It's about community. It's about family. That's one of the things about the Archway Institute that I love. So backstory about us, we were created like 11 years ago, and Dan and Jan Stuckey, they had a son who was an addict, and they did not know how to find resources to help him. I remember Dan telling me they spent like $150,000 in 1 year sending him to treatment, sending him to do this, and nothing was working. And they did not know who to reach out to help. So they created the nonprofit, the Archway Institute, and it's almost like if I had to describe it, right, it's like a hub, kind of like an RCO, but it's literally in all of these states. And it's not just for the addict who is struggling. It is for the caregiver who doesn't know how to help their loved ones. We do free peer support. We literally raise money to give it away. And, like, how amazing is that? These people who literally have no motive or intention other than to see families heal from substance use. Um, it's really amazing whenever you start working in this field and you start seeing, like, how, like you just said, how addiction touches so many different lives. Like, it does not know a race, a gender, a social class. You know what I mean? It doesn't. But how we can work together as a whole to continue to help heal our communities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And we've talked, even on this podcast, talked to everybody from, people that started slamming heroin in high school to, stay at home suburban soccer moms that got addicted to their depression pills. You know what I mean? And so, like, it covers all, like I said, there are no barriers in this respects.
Yeah. Listen, I was in federal prison, Ty, and you see a whole different people there, right? Like, and I was so fortunate to go through this treatment program that they called RDAP. And literally, like, I would see, like you said, housewives or people who were actually corporate America who became addicted and started stealing to fund that habit.
Yeah.
And then now here we are, she's 70 years old in federal prison with me, who was a drug dealer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like it just, it all has, it affects everybody. And, so it's amazing that we get to do the work that we do today to make sure that we can help whoever they are, whether it's, the person that's homeless on the street,
Right.
or if it's, that corporate America executive who doesn't know how to use his voice to reach out. And typically, that with the disease of addiction, sometimes that makes it even harder for those people who are on that side of the fence to say, hey, I have a problem, and so to be able to be an organization, to be a voice, to say, hey, it doesn't matter. We don't care where you come from or what you're going through or what your social status is or where you are in life. Like, we just want to be a voice and we want to help you through this journey.
That's awesome. What are the effects that you hope to see past this event? Like that somebody had cooking out of it. What are some of the ways that you're going to measure?
So, what's crazy? So like I told you, the Archway is national. And so we've actually talked about this event, and we've talked about it in numerous board meetings. And we've had numerous affiliates in different states who were like, hey, we want to do this in our state. Like, we want to be able to do this in our state. So that was something that was super exciting to me. Like, why can we not go to every single state and let's bring it all together, one house, one time, so that way and let's keep it real. So recovery is ever evolving, you know what I mean? It's always evolving. And so there's always new different programs, new regulations, new guidelines, new things that are happening every year that we need to make sure that we're staying up to date on what's going on, like. And not only that, though, like, it doesn't always have to be about these big places, you know what I mean? Like these big corporate places or these big chain places. I want to see even the little guys, the ones who are just starting out. Like, this is their chance to shine too, because they are just as valid as the next person is. So
That's awesome. Yeah, I really like that a lot.
yeah.
Um, so as far as whatever you're measuring, past this event,
Right.
you've had eyes on the people who this is obviously going to affect. So that's helpful. And so, are you hoping that more states like come in for this event and sort of
Yeah.
learn how to do this and how to bring in?
So we were really super blessed. We got the go ahead from our CEO to bring in all of our other state affiliates into this event. So that is the starting point, right? So we will have affiliate directors from MPRA from all of our states coming into this event to really see, and I'm not saying this because I'm partial, but Arkansas really has something jumping as far as recovery goes. Like, I have been to lots of different states and there's some great recovery stuff going. But when I say that Arkansas as a whole, we kind of got it together, you know what I mean, for the most part. And so I'm hoping that whenever we bring these people into the state of Arkansas, they can really see how we utilize each other, because it takes every piece, right? It takes that person who is a clinician at that treatment center. It takes that pastor. It takes that person that's running that sober living. It takes that RCO. It literally takes us together to make sure that we can continue to be sustainable. And so as they come in and see how we're doing this, my biggest hope is that we can start moving from state to state and having the same event everywhere.
That's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure it can happen.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
we're gonna make it
Yeah,
happen.
gonna make it.
Yeah, listen, I have that hustler is still inside of me. And I mean, the same way that I hustled for those drugs, I promise you I hustled for the recovery. And so, yeah, we're gonna make it happen.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
For people who don't have those, like I said, the substance abuse issues and all this stuff, but they want to help, what is the best way that they can help?
Man, literally when I say get involved, that's the biggest thing. You think like a lot of times, like, this is not my place in life, or this is not something I want to help out with. I don't know how to go about it. Just get involved. This is a perfect event for you to come in. And we have vendors coming from all over the state, from counseling services, from mental health services. My sister, who is a mental health nurse practitioner, her business will be there, because let's keep it real. A lot of people see therapists, So, I mean, like, when I say that you're literally going to have access to a resource wherever you're at, visit our website, the Archway Institute. We always have different things going on, different ways to help, volunteering. We have people who volunteer from all different facets of life, so definitely do something like that.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to it. Anything else that I
Yeah.
haven't asked you about that you want to?
So it's March 3rd. Yes, it's March 3rd. We are having it at the Wyndham Hotel in North Little Rock. If you go to our website, which is thearchwayinstitute.org, on the homepage, you will see the little icon. It's the Archway Institute Marches Forward. There is a $25 registration fee. However, what does that $25 go to? You get a free lunch. Every bit of money that we raise in the state of Arkansas, it goes right back out into the community. If you are a professional in the field and you're looking for any kind of CEUs, to continue your education, we are offering CEUs. There's going to be snacks. There's going to be drinks. And not only that, we have some powerhouses who are coming in. We're bringing Stephanie Robinson in from Ohio as one of our keynotes. And she is an amazing individual, powerful testimony, really doing some great things on the national level for recovery. So we are so super, super excited to have her. Yeah. So we hope to see y'all there.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
it's also the Wyndham on Riverfront, right?
Yep.
Right for the river, so you get a good view as well.
Yeah. It's centrally located, great location. So yeah, definitely come out.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you, Marybeth.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, those are there.
Yeah.